All my dear students of class 8th, once again I am back with you all for your chemistry online class. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I was taking up water and I told you about the physical properties of water. That is, we all know that water is colorless, tasteless, odorless and a transparent liquid. Its boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius. And I told you when we add certain impurities to it in the form of salt or any other substance, then the boiling point increases. And when the pressure is increased, the boiling point also increases, and this principle is applied in the pressure cookers, which increase the boiling point and help us in cooking the food faster. Let's proceed on further with this chapter. That is, we use a mixture of ice and we sprinkle a little salt over it, and this is known as the freezing mixture, and this helps to keep the ice cream and kulfi from melting away quickly. Is that clear? Because salt water does what? It lowers the melting point of the ice, and thus we can keep the ice for a longer period of time. Is it clear? And what is the density of water? Now, density of water, it has a maximum density and minimum volume at 4 degrees Celsius. And we all know that density of pure water is 1 gram per cc. Is that clear? 1 gram per centimeter cube. And how does it come? That water weighs 1 gram. So, 1 gram per centimeter cube is the density. Is that clear? So, it's mass upon volume. How we calculate, that is the density of pure water at 4 degrees Celsius is 1 gram per centimeter cube. Is it clear? Then what is the conductivity of pure water? Now, water is both a poor conductor of heat and electricity. That is why what do we do? In the process of electrolysis, I have already told you what do we use. We use acidulated water. Yes or no? Yes. What is this? This is pure water with few drops of H2SO4, dilute H2SO4. This makes sulfuric acid, water a good conductor of electricity, and then only the process of electrolysis can proceed. Is that clear? That is why, and the process of ionization, that electrolysis means breaking it up into ions, dissociation into ions of hydrogen and OH minus. So, in order to make it a good conductor, generally we add a few drops of an acid. Is that clear? Then what is the specific heat of water? What is specific heat is, that is the amount of heat required to increase the temperature of unit mass of water by 1 degree Celsius. Is that clear? And definitely, if we are talking about this is different for different substances, but right now we are concerned about water. That is how much? 4.2 joules. Is that clear? Per gram per degree Celsius. And this has a lot of importance. That is, water needs more time to get heated. That means more heat is required for water to become hot, and at the same time more time is required for it to cool down. So, water neither heats up nor cools down quickly. So, we can use it as an excellent cooling agent because of its high specific heat. So, that is why it is used as a coolant in car engines. Apart from that, it is used as a coolant in nuclear reactor and machine. Then it has a role to play in the land and sea breezes also, and it absorbs the heat and prevents the overheating of the car engine or nuclear reactors. Is that clear? So that the high heat which is more than required does not destroy the whole engine, or in nuclear reactors the whole reactor is not destroyed, or an explosion can even take place if this is not there as a coolant. Then talking about the most important feature of water, that is the anomalous expansion of water. Anomalous means strange. Is that clear? What do we know? We know that when if suppose we're heating any liquid, then it expands on heating. Is that clear? On heating. Is that clear? And it contracts on cooling. On cooling it contracts. Is that clear? But same behavior is seen for water also till it reaches 4 degrees Celsius. And this behavior is known as the anomalous expansion of water. Is that clear? So this is an exceptional behavior and which is shown by water. So due to expansion, what happens when the water starts expanding after 4 degrees Celsius? The volume of water increases and its density decreases, because we know what is the effect of heat. You have studied in physics that when we heat anything, it expands. Suppose, especially in the winters, you have water pipes, plastic pipes, they don't fit the particular attachment. Then what do? We generally put it in warm water and then we try to fit it. So that is because of what? That is, a particular thing is expanding, it increases in size. And now we are talking about liquids. They expand when they are heated. Is that clear? Expand, increase in size, the volume increases and the density decreases. And when we cool a particular thing, then it contracts, decreases in size. Then its volume decreases and density increases. Is that clear? Density increases. This upward arrow means density is increasing and volume is decreasing. Here volume is increasing and density is decreasing. Is it clear? So this is the behavior which is shown by all the liquids. But what is happening with water, that it expands instead of contracting when the temperature reaches from 4 degree to 0 degree Celsius. And at this it becomes less dense. The density becomes less and less as it freezes, because molecules of water normally form open crystal structure when in a solid form, that is, they form ice. Is that clear? So when water is heated from 0 to 4 degree, it contracts. Due to contraction, what is happening? Its volume decreases and density increases. Is it clear? So on further heating above 4 degrees Celsius, what happened? It expands like other liquids, that is, its volume increases and density decreases, like I told you just now. Thus it is found that water has minimum volume and maximum density at 4 degrees Celsius. And the expansion of water when it is cooled from 4 to 0 degrees Celsius is called anomalous expansion of water. And this is the reason why the aquatic animals can survive in very cold conditions. Is it clear? So what is happening, that in cold countries during winter, what is happening, when the temperature is falling below 0 degrees Celsius, the water bodies like lakes, ponds and rivers freeze at the top. Is that clear? You can see the temperature decreases and they freeze at the top, whereas the water below the ice remains at 4 degrees Celsius. You can see the temperature dropping, it reaches 4 degrees Celsius, and in winter the temperature of water on the surface of water bodies decreases. As a result, water starts contracting and density increases, and the cold water sinks to the bottom of the lakes and pond. This continues till the temperature reaches 4 degrees Celsius. Is that clear? The sinking has stopped now. However, as the temperature drops below this, water expands due to anomalous expansion, its density decreases and it does not sink further and remains at the top. This continues till the temperature falls to 0 degree Celsius. Is it clear? At this temperature, water freezes to ice. Ice at the top is less dense than the water at the bottom. It does not sink. The lake freezes at the top, but the water below the layer of ice remains at 4 degrees Celsius. So what is happening is that the lake freezes and the water below the layer of ice remains at 4 degrees Celsius. And we know ice is a poor conductor of heat, so it does not allow the flow of heat from the water to the atmosphere. Is it clear? So here it will not allow the flow of heat. The heat will not be able to escape and the temperature will be maintained at 4 degrees Celsius over here inside this water, and this will help the survival of the aquatic plants and animals both. Is that clear? So the temperature of water in the water body remains at 4 degrees Celsius. So you have seen how it is happening. I am repeating it once again. That is, we know in winters what happened. Temperature of water on the surface of water bodies decreases. Just because the water temperature decreases, the water will start contracting. Is that clear? And its density increasing. So if something has a density which is higher, then it will sink. Like for instance, you have a coin which is having a density more than water, it sinks to the bottom. And similarly, if you float a piece of paper, it will keep on floating just because it has a density which is less than water. So similarly over here also, when this will just because of its high density, it will keep on sinking, and this will continue till the temperature reaches at 4 degrees Celsius. Is that clear? After this, what will happen? If the temperature drops to 3 degree, 2 degree, 1 degree, then what will happen? Due to anomalous expansion, then the water will have a density, its density will decrease and its volume will increase. So after this, the density decreases, so the water does not sink further and remains at the top, which you can see over here, remains at the top, and this will continue till the temperature reaches 0 degrees Celsius. Now a layer of ice has been formed over here. This layer of ice is a poor conductor of heat. Now it is a poor conductor of heat, it does not allow the heat to escape. So it does not allow the further heat to flow out from the water to the atmosphere. Is that clear? So this helps in the survival of the aquatic plants and animals. Is it clear? Then water is a universal solvent. Universal means common to all. Like we say English is a universal language. Similarly, water is a universal solvent, that so many substances dissolve in it, be it salt, be it sugar, be it several type of spices, they all dissolve and disappear in water, especially when we are talking of various type of salts and then sugar, then we have the baking powder and so many other things are there which dissolve in water, making it a universal solvent. Is that clear? It dissolves more substances than any other liquid. Is that clear? That is why it is called a universal solvent. So thus an important property of water is its ability to dissolve substances in it, and it can dissolve many substances: salt, water, alcohol, vinegar, all can be dissolved in water, and even the gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide get dissolved in it, making it a universal solvent for solid, liquids and gases. Is that clear? So water is called a universal solvent because it dissolves a large number of substances than any other solvent. Now to understand this, let's understand a few more terms. You can see over here, this is a solution. So it is a homogeneous mixture of a solute and a solvent. You cannot make out where the sugar is and where water is. Is that clear? Here you have to show the solute and the solvent. When you mix it, when you stir it and forms a solution, you cannot make out. So it's a homogeneous mixture, that is having a uniform composition. You cannot make out where the salt is and where sugar is. Is that clear? So a substance that dissolves in other substance to form solution is called a solute, like sugar and salt, or be it any other substance. Is that clear? And solvent is a substance in which the solute is dissolved to form a solution. Is that clear? It may be water, it may be alcohol, or any other liquid. So generally in a solution, solvent is present in larger quantity, whereas solute is present in smaller quantity. Is it clear? So you can compare the amount of solute and the amount of solvent. Solute is present in smaller quantity and solvent is more. Is that clear? So talking about the different types of solutions, aqueous and non-aqueous solution. A solution in which a solute is dissolved in water, it is called an aqueous solution. And what is a non-aqueous solution? That are made in solvents other than water. Is that clear? It may be alcohol, it may be ethene, it may be dichloromethane. So any other liquid apart from water is used, then it is a non-aqueous solution. Is that clear? So aqueous and non-aqueous solution. Then talking about the miscible and immiscible liquids. Talking about the miscible and immiscible liquids, that the liquids that dissolve completely in each other and form a single layer, they are known as miscible liquids. For example, when you mix alcohol in water, or you mixed oil in water, it forms two different layers. It does not mix completely. They form two separate layers. They are known as immiscible liquids. Is that clear? Or you dissolve fruit juice in water, it also forms a miscible liquid. So liquids which mix in each other or dissolve completely in each other, they form miscible liquids, while immiscible liquids are liquids which do not dissolve in each other and they form separate layers. They are known as immiscible liquid and they can be separated by separating funnel, as we had discussed earlier. Even the gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide and ammonia, they dissolve in water. Is it clear? Talking about the saturated, unsaturated and the supersaturated solution. Now these two solutions are different on the basis of the amount of the solute which can be dissolved in them, and although the volume of the solvent is the same. Now what is a saturated? First let's discuss about the unsaturated solution. That is a solution in which more solute can be dissolved in a solvent at a particular temperature. Is that clear? We keep on dissolving more and more salt to it and the solute keeps on dissolving in it, whether we are adding salt or whether we are adding sugar, and keep on stirring, and whichever solute we are adding, it keeps on dissolving. So this is an unsaturated solution. Then the next type of solution is the saturated solution, in which no more solute can be dissolved at a particular temperature. Now this is a saturated solution that no more solute can dissolve in this. That is, if we add, for instance, an unsaturated solution as form and we add 2 more spoonful of salt to it, a time comes when this salt stops dissolving. This is known as a saturated solution. Then an unsaturated solution, a solution that contains more solute than it can hold at a particular temperature. It is called a supersaturated solution. Is it clear? So we have added more solute than it can hold. So activity 3 on page number 113 will make you understand this better. That is, we have taken water, a glass, and you can compare it. Here we have taken water and salt. Here it is water, sugar, beaker and a spoon. Now we take some water in a glass and add some sugar and stir properly. Then we keep on continue adding sugar to the solution till no more sugar gets dissolved in it. Now heat the solution. Now we heat the solution. Then what happens? This, for instance, this is water and here we have sugar. This is there and we heat it. This dissolves further. Then what can be deduced from this? What is the inference that we can draw from it? The solution in which we keep dissolving more amount of sugar at a particular temperature is unsaturated, as this one. More solute can be dissolved in it. And the solution in which no more sugar dissolves at a particular temperature, it is a saturated solution. Is that clear? That is, the excess sugar gets settled at the bottom. Here we have excess sugar which will settle at the bottom, which you can see more number of crystals are visible, and a time will come when they will settle over here. And on heating, sugar that was settled at the bottom gets dissolved and it forms a supersaturated solution. This sugar which was present as undissolved will dissolve over here, and a time will come when this solution cools down, it will form crystal. This is known as a supersaturated solution, and on this basis we can conclude that water has a great ability to dissolve substances. And when we increase the temperature, this ability increases, as we have seen the case of saturated and supersaturated solution. This is all for today. Allah Hafiz.